it was incredible.
All right, and so we're looking at some of these images, and maybe we should show the image of you and the other protesters on some private property, if we can show those, because it was this person, did the homeowner allow you onto the property, and that's why you decided to go there? Just describe that.
Correct. So in the first video, that's when the police first show up, and they start just dragging anybody in their way, throwing them to the ground, punching them, kicking them, and arresting them. So the homeowner, that home is actually across the street from the first video, and the homeowner came out and said, look, everybody get on my property, it's private property, they can't do anything to you, I'm giving you permission to be here. We were there for about 30-45 minutes, and then that's when you see, from my second video, the police coming onto private property and just dragging people off of the patio, just dragging anybody they see, arresting them, beating them, and that's what you can see in my second video. Yes, we had full permission to be on that private property.
Did you ever get an understanding from the police as to why they were doing this? Why were they arresting people on the private property?
We had no explanation. We were all literally just standing there peacefully. We weren't attacking them. We weren't saying any slander or being vulgar towards them. Next thing you know, we see a huge group of other sheriffs and more people in riot gear just lined up, and we could tell something was about to happen. And all we kept hearing was, leave now or you will be arrested. Leave the area now or you will be arrested. But we were on private property, so we didn't think that they had any jurisdiction to make us leave. And then next thing you know, that's when you see them just march across the street and just chaos. Pure chaos.
And how did this whole thing make you feel? How did this whole ordeal make you feel?
Disheartening, really disappointing and disheartening that the police who are sworn to protect and serve us violently attack us with no reason, right or reason at all. We were peacefully assembling. All
right, so let me go ahead and address this issue right here, okay? So y'all heard it, I'm going to include the link below right here. The problem is today, now, as far as I know, Louisiana is a state that you can carry. And you do. You'll see it. If you watch the video, you'll see all these police and SWAT teams out there in riot gear. And then, of course, I try all the time to show you people the difference in respect. You see, if you're going to peacefully protest in Louisiana and all the protesters was armed with the same amount of firepower that the police had, you would have had a total different outcome. Because, first of all, number one, they cannot stop you from protesting in the first place, especially if it's peaceful. And then number two, for them to just throw out law. See, that just lets you know that a lot of them function above law. And to just automatically, without any authority whatsoever at all, trespass on someone's private property. The way I understand it, that is part and parcel and cause for the citizens to use force against the police. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, you see? Because when you have law enforcement officers who no longer enforce the law, but they break the law and act as if they're above the law, then the people who are their masters, it's in their right to judge the law themselves, even if it means arresting the police and getting the police off of the property. And that's the difference between being out there in those cities and being here in the country. Because every single police officer that I've ever ran across, be it a sheriff or policeman, when it comes time to actually come on your property, they wait at the gate. They do not trespass on the property unless they have a warrant by a judge. And usually when they come out here, they don't have any, out here in the country, usually don't have any warrants. They're trying to either get information or whatever it is, but it's just a total different attitude. Again, in Occupy Wall Street, and what I've seen down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is that I didn't see any citizens armed whatsoever at all. That was mistake number one. If you are in a state that you can legally and lawfully carry, because police are not going to respect, and they're not going to honor the wishes of the people, even if you comply with their orders. You can forget it. It just simply ain't happening, which obvious that was the case. But you can see that tensions are not only very high with the people, but even the police. And I'm telling you, this thing is quickly getting ready to go from bad to worse because we have the system is corrupt. It starts from the head up. It starts with Washington. Washington, D.C. is corrupt to the core. And when you have the head corrupt, it corrupts the whole entire body. And that's what we're seeing. And the only way the people are going to get any respect, and see, now we enter in the things that nobody likes hearing. You see, this is the sole reason for the Constitution and the Second Amendment is whenever you have government that is gone wild, gone rogue, that is the reason why that you are to possess arms and to protect yourself from a tyrannical government. And when you people out there don't know your rights, you don't know the law, and also at times you may have to be willing to even die. If you're going to protest, you need to go ahead and make a choice and decision that you're willing to die at that protest, which most of you just simply not. And I think the problem is just ignorance of the law. I wouldn't advise anybody to go to no protest if you're not going to show up with the same amount of force as the police does, especially if your intentions are there to be there peacefully. Because the police are not the only people in this country that have a right to bear arms. They're not the only ones. And again, with Occupy Wall Street, you saw what happened in New York as opposed to Arizona. In Arizona, they had a peaceful protest because not only did they have a whole bunch of militiamen and a whole bunch of veterans with AR-15s and 308s and Glocks and 45s on their person, armed and ready. The police was equally armed on the other side of the street. And then when the TV interviewer was interviewing the people over here, they said, what are you here for? They said, we're here to ensure that these people can protest peacefully. They wasn't getting maced. They wasn't getting stomped. They wasn't getting arrested. They didn't have boots on the ground, boots in their head and everything else. You see the difference? America really, truly needs to wake up. And you know, the sad part about it is that the government and the world, first of all, let's start with the world. The world is seeing that racism is alive and well in America, and the conditions and the experience of the blacks in America is no different than what it was in Jim Crow days, no different than it was during chattel slavery. It's no different. And the whole world is seeing it now. And what's happening is that the bubble is starting to burst. That's what's happening. The bubble is bursting. And of course, America is always wanting to grandstand. They want to stage play. They want to politically act as if they are the epitome of righteousness, the sum of all wisdom, and the actual poster child of morality in this earth, which when people are really truly looking and see what's going on in America, you're really seeing how corrupt Washington is, as well as all the judicial system and the police office, the police force. Now, I'm painting a broad brush because when you look at the way and the attitude of the way that the police treat the people, they treat us all as if we're guilty, along with the news media, until proven innocent. Now, I know what they say, but they treat us totally different. You don't ever see the cops, when they shoot and kill somebody in this country, get locked up in the jail, and they have to stay in jail until trial. But if we are even accused of doing something, they stick us in jail. And we have to pay a bond if we are going to get out. And that bond is so extraordinary that people can't even pay the thing. See, that's what you call injustice in this country. But I'm going to put the link down there below so you can get the full story. CBC News is the one who's reporting this. And I'm telling you, if I've said something that is not lawfully, tell me. Because I like to know myself, because I think I pretty much know the law pretty good. I really, truly do. But when those police officers trespassed on that man's property, the people had a right at that time to use force. And that is the truth, and that's the true straight way.